Hi, my name is Al Hussein Rashid, and I'm here to explain what psychological fallacy is. Imagine being told that your thoughts and feelings can be entirely explained by your brain's physical processes. The reductionist view might sound appealing, but it overlooks the complexities of human experience. Understanding the limitations of such reductionist perspective is crucial in both scientific inquiry and our everyday understanding of human behavior and consciousness. As an advocate for a more holistic understanding of human experience, I have dived deeply into both psychological and sociological studies, uncovering the details and interdependencies of these fields. The psychologist's fallacy oversimplify the complexity of human experience and ignores the multi-faced character of consciousness by mistakenly equating mental states only with their psychological counterparts. Today, I will talk about definition and origins of psychologist fallacy, examples illustrating the limitation of the psychologist fallacy, the implications of this fallacy on scientific research and everyday understanding. Let's begin by exploring what exactly the psychologist fallacy entails and its origins in scientific thought. But before we start, does any one of you guys understand what psycholo- psycholo- psychological fallacy is? Today I will explain it. So, to start, the psychologist fallacy is a term that describes the inaccurate assumption that mental states can be fully explained by psychological processes alone. This fallacy suggests that our thoughts, feeling, and consciousness are solely the result of brain, chemistry, and neural activity without considering the influence of subjective experiences and environmental factors. Historically, this fallacy emerged from the growing emphasis on biological explanations in the 19th and 20th centuries. During this period, scientific advancements led to a prioritization of cyclist approaches to understanding the mind, often at the expense of psychological and social perspective. Now that we have the basic understanding of the psychologist fallacy and its origin, let's explore some examples of how this fallacy appears in modern science. In neuroscience, some researchers argue that all aspects of consciousness can be explained solely by neural activity. However, this view is often critiqued for ignoring the subjective experience of consciousness, as noted in Neuroscience and Philosophy by Maxwell and Newcomb. In psychiatric treatment, there is tendency to attribute mental health disorder exclusively to brain chemistry, potentially overlooking environmental and psychological factor. Having defined the psychologist fallacy, let's examine some concrete example that highlight its limitations. To illustrate the limitations of the psychologist fallacy, let's consider some concrete examples. Case studies in psychology, such as phantom limb syndrome, show that subjective experiences cannot always be directly traced to physical causes. Phantom limb syndrome is a condition where individuals who have lost a limb continue to feel sensations, including pain in the limb that is no longer there. The phenomenon highlights how our subjective experiences can persist independently of our physical body. Moreover, neuroscience researchers demonstrate that identical brain states can correspond to might can correspond to different mental experiences, challenging the reductionist view. For instance, two individuals might have similar brain activity patterns while experiencing vastly different emotions or thoughts. This discrepancy suggests that our mental experiences cannot be fully explained by history and environmental context. These examples underscore the limitations of the psychologist fallacy. Next, we will consider the broader implications of adhering to these fallacy in both scientific and everyday contexts. These examples underscore the limitations of the psychologist fallacy. Next, we will consider the broader implications of adhering to this fallacy in both scientific and everyday context. Implications of the psychologist fallacy on scientific research and everyday understanding. Understanding the implications of the psychologist fallacy is essential, as it affects both scientific research and our everyday lives. In scientific research, over reliance on psychological explanation can hinder the development of comprehensive models of mental health that integrate psychological and social factors. For example, if researchers focus solely on brain chemistry when studying mental health disorder, they might overlook crucial elements such as personal experience and social environment. This limited perspective can result in treatments that address only part of the problem, as highlighted in Taylor's 2022 study in holistic mental health models. In everyday life, the psychologist fallacy can lead to misunderstanding about personal responsibility and the nature of human behavior. If we attribute all actions and thoughts to biological determinism, we risk oversimplifying complex human behaviors. This perspective can reduce individuals to mere products of human behavior. If we attribute all actions and thoughts to biological determinism, we risk oversimplifying complex human behaviors. This perspective can reduce individuals to mere products of their biology, ignoring the roles of free will, personal choices, and environmental influences. Johnson's 2020 research points out that the reductionist view can undermine the importance of personal accountability and the richness of human experiences. These points emphasize the need to recognize the limitations of the psychologist fallacy in both scientific and everyday context. Now, let's review the takeaways and their significance. With these points in mind, let's review the key takeaways and their significance. In summary, the psychologist fallacy simplifies the complexity of human experience by reducing mental states to mere psychological process. By examining its determination, illustrative examples, and broader implications, we see the necessity of a more nuanced approach. Recognizing the limitations of the psychologist fallacy encourage a more holistic understanding of human behavior, one that respects the intricate interplay between mind and body. This perspective not only enriches scientific inquiry but also fosters a deeper appreciation for the richness of human experience. And now, coming to the end of the speech, if you guys have any experience stating something different than what I said, please feel free to comment on my video, or you could also go to my discussion board and leave a comment with whatever experience you had, or if there is something that maybe I forgot to list and should have listed, just to educate more students in the class and honestly, whoever looks at it. Thank you so much and have a good day.